Good evening and welcome to the MassCann Virtual Education Village. My name is Lisa Napert, MassCann Member Liaison, and this segment is produced and broadcasted thanks to the all-volunteer effect of the MassCann organization. The Massachusetts Reform Coalition, well known as MassCann, is a registered 501c4 nonprofit organization dedicated to educating lawmakers, regulators, and the general public about the harms caused by a decades-long racist drug war. To find out more and become a member, please visit MassCann, MassCann.org. Follow us on Facebook page at facebook.com and on Instagram at masscann.org, and that's MassCann.org. Today, we are here with our 26th Virtual Education Village discussion. The Virtual Education Village has become an integral component of MassCann's education mission in the time of the coronavirus. Today's educational discussion is titled Social Equity, One Man's Journey. With me today to discuss the multifaceted is Leonel Padilla Rodriguez. Speakers, I will. Leonel was born and raised on the island of Puerto Rico and came from a family of long history of grassroots activism. He began his path in activism as a young gentleman through the Worcester Youth Center. I would like to welcome Mr. Leonel today, and thank you for joining us. I want to, on the behalf of MassCann Board and the organization, we are pleased to welcome you to the Virtual Education Village 26th edition. Good evening, Leonel. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Good evening, Lisa. Thank you for the invite, and say hi to everybody who's watching us right now. Like you said, I'm just born and raised in the island of Puerto Rico. Came into Massachusetts around the age of 8 years old. Got involved in the grassroots activism through the Worcester Youth Center. They used to have a program where they used to pay us weekly. So just to do activism and clean up the streets in Worcester and help out the community, and they used to pay us. And that's how I got into the activism and kind of drove away through my late teens. But once I got into the industry and seeing what was happening in the industry, I had to basically make myself be heard again, because what's happening, it's really outrageous.
So Leonel, thank you for telling us a little bit about yourself. I appreciate your struggles and where it's taken quite a bit for you to accomplish some of your goals in life at this point, with all the boundaries and hurdles that are put in our way. Can you first tell us what SE means?
Depends who you ask. And for me personally, it's just an opportunity to be able to be part of something that I should have been a part from the beginning. I shouldn't have to go through a program. I shouldn't have to go through all these hurdles. Understand why they did it, but I just didn't agree how they actually accomplished what they were trying to accomplish, or trying to accomplish, because they didn't really accomplish anything.
So what is an SE program? What does that mean, and how do you gain access to that?
Well, the Social Equity Program is a program that was launched by the CCC as a way to give back to the community that's been harmed by the war on drugs. And it's a program where they teach you. I only took a couple of classes. I'll be real. Gonna keep it 100%. I didn't finish the class for other reasons that we can talk about. But what I've seen is just it's good information for the people that need the information. They're coming from uh or people that are coming that are don't have insight of the industry, and they're just coming in. It's a program that teaches you the basics of how to run the business, how to submit your paperwork, how to create a business program, um, how to talk to investors, how to look for investors, um, how to network, and so on.
And so, by using the tools that this program has given you, and if you choose to discuss the reasons why you may not have finished these classes, which could be insightful to others, um, explain to me how this benefited you in your journey to receiving your application approval.
Can you repeat the last part? Excuse me.
So that's okay. So with all the information that you were able, the tools that you were able to take from programming, as much as that you took in, and if you should choose to do so, you can speak on why you may not have done those other classes, which may prove beneficial to other people in the community. How did that assist you in achieving your social equity status?
Well, I recommend anybody who actually goes into, or I think we're in the fourth cohort, if I'm not mistaken, and I heard rumors they're going to open a fifth cohort next year. Um, I recommend anybody to actually finish the classes. There's a lot of insight information that it's really you're going to need if you don't already have the tools or don't have the knowledge of what's required from the CCC to actually get from being a social equity or economic endorsement, um, to actually put it in the paperwork and all the barriers that the CCC puts forward. Um, Definitely recommend taking the classes. But from my point, I was already working in the industry. I had a lot of knowledge beforehand. So when I was taking the classes, I felt like, well, it's just a waste of my time because a lot of this I already know, already went through it when I was working at in the industry, still working in the industry. And the reason I didn't take it, I was really mad at the CCC and everything that was happening at that time. Um, Me making complaints and going to deaf ears and so on and so on. So it's more of a personal issue than the actual tools that the CCC was actually putting forward.
And do you think that maybe some of these conditions might exist for other people who are trying to do and accomplish the same things that you've been trying to do and accomplish?
Yeah, because I haven't heard one AC or haven't talked to any SC or EE that doesn't go through the same struggles that everybody's going through, which is the actual capital that you need to put a SC through the CCC licensing processing. So it's the tools are there to a point, but the money's not there. And yeah, they launched the program. Everybody knows about it, where they're going to try and fund the CCC, but it's just um, it's a good start. I'm not gonna diminish the program, but it still has a long way. And my biggest issue right now with the CCC is there's already four cohorts. I'm not trying to stop what they're trying to accomplish, but maybe they should focus more on getting more EEs and ACs funded before they start keep opening more cohorts, and especially when the funds are not going to be really there. And because of the state of the industry, a lot of investors are keeping away from actually investing in the cannabis industry because, as we see, and I don't know how insight you are right now, Lisa, when it comes to the prices. I'm sure everybody's heard the prices and the market right now. It's really really bad. So I don't understand the CCC's point of getting more licenses out when we still have the first four cohorts still struggling to actually get licensed.
So it sounds like to me that there are still legislative and advocacy that needs to happen going forward to make this uh, program, and not just the program, but the industry of cannabis to work more efficiently for all. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, that's correct. We need, or the program needs more money. That's pretty much it. There's, if I'm not mistaken, over 1,000 SE and EE endorsements, if I'm roughly. Um,
That's a lot.
and the pool of money that the state is given is not enough for the pool of social equity licenses that is still part on just endorsed. They're not going through the process because they don't have the funds, or they don't have other, or they did have the funds and they ran. That's the biggest hurdle right now too. It's like you might have some money and you run out of funds and you're in the middle of nowhere and you got to do crazy deals just to, because you're in the middle of nowhere. You're already going through licensing and you run out of money, and that's the biggest issue I think what the EE and ECs are going through right now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that the struggles are still so prominent in the growth that's exponentially exploding at this point. Not just here in Massachusetts, but almost across all of the United States.
But here in Massachusetts, it's not that hard to fix in reality. If they
Mhm.
gave social equity and the EE the opportunity to become actually caregivers and being able to grow out of, let's say, a basement, the way that, let's say, Maine does it in the medical care patient up there in the caregiver program. That's the way that they should have done the ASC and EE here at the beginning, um, where it's accessible where people with the lack of funds.
Mm. So it almost sounds like some advocacy really still needs to go forward from the community members involved in SE and EE programming and licensures, and with all the hurdles that seem to be not just meeting all of these goals that the CCC has, but the financial end of this. It just seems like it's draining more money from our community that is supposed to be given, you know, this equal social equity that just still seems to be unbalanced in some way.
Right.
So going forward, and discussing, what might need to change to make this better, a better process or an easier process for some of our fellow cohorts, and or maybe some of the new ones coming forward that are trying to make a difference as well in a positive way.
Um, it's hard because if I tell them it's going to be easy or it's going to get better, I'll be lying to them. I don't feel like it is, especially when we have federal legalization and coming up in the next 4 to 6 years. And once it becomes federal legal, the floodgates are going to be open and pretty much game over for anybody who's not a multi-state operator or they don't have a loyal brand behind them. So as an activist, and I was speaking to a few local activists here in Massachusetts, where I was talking to them, it's like, if we don't fix the problems that we currently have in the next 4 to 6 years, it's over. Like once it becomes federal legal, it's over. Like there's no fixing it after that.
Right. So seeing this, in our near future, because we already know the government owns at least two patents on the plant, right? And they've got their grimy paws in every little spot that they could, even though they don't want to let it go. Now we know why, right? What do you think about the potential of gathering our community members to go, hey, like we can't do this because we need to fight, we need to advocate, we need to, get some of this legislative law changed. because this is essentially natural medicine, right? It's not a pharmaceutical, even though they've turned them into pharmaceuticals, right? To some synthetically to several different levels. Where do we go from here, knowing that we see that in our future and we're talking about SE and EE applicants trying to be successful in this industry?
Um, Stay cutting edge. I feel that the only way a small company in the industry that we are right now is going to be able to survive is doing craft and having a loyal um customer base because you're producing quality products compared to everybody else. Like, yeah, they might be producing hundreds of thousands of more pounds than you, but you'll be able to compete in the niche market with better quality products. Um, and just to answer the previous question, before, what I recommend to a social equity or EE is to get a production license. Is for me, it's the easiest way to get into the industry and still be um, successful. Where because the average gram right now in Massachusetts is around $7.30. So you're gonna be putting hundreds of thousands, not millions of dollars into cultivation, and the market it's already tanked. So I don't recommend anybody right now, any SE going or EE going for cultivation as is right now. As a recommendation, I'll recommend going for a production manufacturer license, um, buying bulk product from what's available, and create your own brand and just go from there. Um, and then once you're economically stable and you have a lot of revenue coming in that you can actually be able to afford the cultivation license or any other license that you want, then yeah, I will go there.
Well, Lionel, so it really sounds like it's a complicated process from beginning to end. Um,
It
is
is.
all is all of the information that you need to be successful from A to Z always presented in a way that nothing's going to be missed? Like any of the
Um,
important steps that would set you back because you just didn't know what you needed to know.
well, I do recommend there's a lot of free information out there. Um, Going through the CCC program, it's one. They give you a lot of tools. Also, tools like what MassCann is doing with the Educational Village. That's another. And there's a lot of podcasts and a lot of people that gone um, through the licensing process here in Massachusetts and other states that you can listen to. The information is out there. Just doing the work and um, and the most important thing that I haven't really talked, if you are going to go through the licensing process and you are going to get in funded, find yourself a lawyer that you trust to go through that contract and make sure everything is good on your terms.
Excellent. So let me just refer here real quickly because I had one additional question here for you. What does it mean to be an applicant? What does it mean to you to be an SE applicant in the state of Massachusetts?
Um, what it felt in 2020 when I was part of the second cohort, I was doing circles around my house. Um, it was during the pandemic. I was still working it. Actually, I got furloughed during that time. It was around May, and it's kind of funny how I actually became a SC. I forgot who it was. Um, it probably had to be Grant. Um, who I was basically 6 hours before the last day that you were able to put your paperwork in to apply for SE endorsement, I seen a post. It was like around midnight. And I applied. I seen it through, I think it was Grant, but it could have been him or any other activist that was actually just announcing that, hey, this is the final day for SC applicant, to be an SC applicant. And I put my paperwork in, what little paperwork I had, because it's actually you have to actually do a crazy amount of paperwork and a lot of information has to go in. But I was like, hey, the only thing they could tell me is no. So I was able to gather some paperwork and some information that I had on hand, submit the paperwork, and got it back. I didn't put enough information because I didn't have it on hand, but they just told me, send the information in and we'll put you into the program basically. And when I got the final confirmation that was part of the second cohort, yeah, I was doing circles. I was ecstatic. It's like, wow, like I'm gonna be able to do it. And the last 2 years pretty much got a reality check. It's not as easy. Um, the money is there if you allow yourself to be taken for a sucker. Um, and just to keep it, um, some rich Wall Street guy offers you, yeah, I'll fund you, and you're basically just a face. Yeah, the money's there, but I never wanted that. I got a couple offers like that, and it's not worth it for me. So those kind of offers I really did decline, but I can't judge nobody for taking those kind of deals. I don't know the situation that person's in. Um, so what I do recommend is if you're gonna take a deal like that, make sure that you're part of the board, that they're not gonna throw you into marketing or anything like that. Make sure that because they're gonna buy you out at the end of the day. Um, make sure there's a severance package if they want to buy you out. And what I feel right now is disappointed, really. Just disappointed in the state of the industry, disappointed in the regulators, disappointed in people that I look up to as
I'm sorry.
activists, and yeah, just her overall to what this community and this industry is.
I'm sorry to hear that because as much as we all have dreams and goals, we also have journeys, and all of those come with trials, tribulations, hurdles, and rocks that you have to duck from, right? Um, when 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 you say that, you were really disappointed, and I understand is the biggest part of that is the financial. Are there any other sections of this that you felt like um, you could have been in a better position had you known prior to, or a better way to handle something as far as getting your process done to get through to be an SE, despite all these MSOs or multi-million dollar companies coming forward just with the intentions of buying you out. um, the financial piece is very understandable. Then you say, get a really good lawyer to look at this stuff.
But it's like the CCC could have done a lot of things. For example, Puerto Rico, they became
Mm.
medical a few years ago. The only way to open medical in Puerto Rico is to do it with a person living in the island. So if you're an investor, you have to give equity to the person living in the island to be able to become part of the medical program in Puerto Rico. I feel like that's how it should be done. It doesn't matter if it's in Massachusetts or not in any other state. It's like if you're a multi-state operator, you want to come to the state, then you got to do it through somebody who's actually living in the state where the taxes are gonna part of those taxes are gonna stay in the state and not
Absolutely.
get and not gonna be taken to a foreign account or to another state, which is going to take it to Panama or all these, offshore accounts, and money's going to be taken off not just the state economy, but the country itself.
Right. And the state of our economy is, questionable at best at times. Um,
Yeah.
become Now that you are correct, a full SE person, correct at this time?
Yes. Yes.
And so with going through all of this process and all these struggles and hurdles, would you say that there still needs to be, besides this education that we're talking about, do you think there still needs to be legislative changes and not just changes, but getting these bills up and trying to straighten out what we need to straighten out, and who do we need to get there in terms of, our SEs, our EEs, and the best way to do that? Like, because I advocate for everyone. Once you get education, follow it through with advocacy, and then activism afterwards is a full-rounded approach to something. What do we need to do on the inside of this still?
There's a lot. There's a lot that we need. I just It's hard to explain because I'm a capitalist. I do believe in capitalism too, but not chronic capitalism that we have currently right now. But it's like best way to do it right now is just stopping a license, put in a license cap. But that goes against what I believe in, really, because we're keep opening these licenses up, especially, or maybe put a license cap on tier 6, tier 7, tier 8. And for the people that don't know, those are the licenses that are 50, 60, 80, 100 thousand square feet. Um, I personally know, as working in the industry, there's massive companies here in the state right now currently holding 12, 15, 20,000 pounds of flour just sitting in a back room because they have nobody to sell it because there's so much flour available. And that's why, and I think around July the price dropped to 5.5. I think $5 a gram, I think, was the average, like, around summer, and right now it's around 7 to 8. um and it's how to fix that. That's hard to say because they opened the floodgate, or they opened the gates when they allowed all these MSOs to come and take part of the Massachusetts market. And that's not to blame the current CCC commissioners, but and I understand that they rushed the whole thing, and they're just trying to do good for all the mistakes that they did. But how to fix it, I just don't know how to fix it, to tell you the truth. Because how do you're gonna, let's say we take money and we give it to the SEs and we get all 1,000 licenses up and running. All right, it's you're setting us for failure because of the state of the industry that is right now. Because we won't be able to uh, sell products to be able to compete with the average cost of a gram right now. So I really don't know, to tell you the truth, how to fix it.
So it really sounds like, the craft area
Yeah.
is a small business, veteran-owned businesses, maybe a woman-owned business. All of those small areas are probably going to sound like they're going to be kind of trampled over. I think
What
maybe going forward, right? I think, and this is just in my opinion, just hearing what you're saying and things I've heard others say, is that some kind of band needs to happen in forms of protesting, this sharp decline in cost in cannabis. And, it's great that it's more affordable, but like you said, the
but
overwhelming amount.
it's not affordable because when you look at the prices still in the dispensaries, they're not affordable. what's happening
What,
is,
but what craft is getting paid for is dirt cheap, right? And
yes,
they're marking it up like crazy, right?
exactly. That's the point. Like you have good quality flower or good quality products, or even the MSO products, for example. Their retailer will buy $10,000, $15,000 worth of edibles at $5 a pop, and they're taking that edible and selling it for $25 to $30 for 50 or 100 milligrams. So yes, it's become cheaper to a point from what it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but it's still not affordable to the actual people that actually need the medicine.
Right. And from what I understand, I do believe from what I understand from one craft grower, they were presenting their product to a dispensary. And for this high-end product, they were offered very low prices for the product, and that just continues. So where do our craft people come in on this, right? Where do we draw the line between these MSOs and our small businesses here in this state? And we've got to start in one state, right? I think, do you think, because I think at some point we can
Maybe
kind of tweak some of this stuff.
maybe I'm optimistic. Maybe because when it becomes federal legal, a small craft grower will be able to sell interstate to, let's say, um, Arizona or whatever. They'll be able to sell it over there because that dispensary cares about the products itself. So maybe there'll be a better market for when it comes federal legal for the craft industry because, as we know, like craft coffee and craft chocolates and so on, you see it in craft beer. Um, there is a market for it, but the way that cannabis is still federally legal, it kind of limits a craft grower to just the boundaries of the state.
Well, Leonel, I want to, that half hour went by quick. I want to thank you for your discussion with me tonight and help and educate those in our community about what social equity is, what struggles come with that, some of the hurdles that still exist, and some of the problems that still exist as well. I would encourage you all to keep coming back for education. Follow us here at MassCann for virtual education segments. Follow the activism committee here at MassCann so that we can go forward and continue to try to fight for the rights of our abilities to contribute to this industry as well, whether we're small business people, small craft, social equity, EE, wherever we come from. Thank you all very much for coming. Our next segment of education for Virtual Ed Village will be posted on the MassCann page. Thank you and have a good night. Thank you, Leonel.